the president wants to combine these two issues is to say they're basically two sides of the same coin. When our friends are attacked, when particularly our Democratic friends are attacked without in this brutal manner, it is incumbent on us to help them and to stand with them.
Now, the State Department last issued a worldwide alert in August 2022 after America assassinated the leader of Al-Qaeda in a drone strike in Kabul. And think about it, if you're an American around the world tonight, you'll be worried about your safety, where to go, especially if you're in a busy tourist area. And the president is due to address the American people again in just over 90 minutes. The question is, what will he want to get across? Let's talk to Ivo Daalder, former U.S. ambassador to NATO and now president of the Chicago Council on Global Affairs. Ivo, hello, and thanks for joining us on the program.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Okay, so the president is going to address the American people again. What do you think he'll want to get across?
I think he will want to get across the importance of the United States standing steadfast behind not just Israel, but also Ukraine. This is going to be a speech that is going to be devoted to both of those issues. He will remind people why it is important for the world, but particularly for the United States, to stand behind these two countries, both of whom were viciously and brutally attacked, one by a large neighboring country, Russia, the other by a terrorist organization, Hamas, both of whom have suffered incredible fatalities and brutality, and now are in the process of defending themselves. And they're asking the world, and particularly the Israelis, asking the United States to do what it can to help, and why it is in America's interest, and indeed the world's interest, that Ukraine and Israel succeed and defeat those who attacked them in the first place.
Mm-hmm. And one wonders how that message will resonate among some on Capitol Hill who, as we're told by Bernard-Henri Lévy, the philosopher, and Boris Johnson, the former British Prime Minister, in tomorrow morning's Daily Telegraph, they say there are some on Capitol Hill who claim that if we are to do more to help Israel, then we must now reconsider or cut back on our support for Ukraine. That would be a tragic mistake. So concerned there about some in the Republican fraternity. And also there was a big demonstration from members of the Jewish diaspora outside Capitol Hill today, weren't they? They were very worried about the kind of reaction we're seeing from Israel and the IDF.
Yeah, I mean, I think one reason the president wants to combine these two issues is to say they're basically two sides of the same coin. When our friends are attacked, when particularly our Democratic friends are attacked without in this brutal manner, it is incumbent on us to help them and to stand with them. And by combining the request to Capitol Hill of both aid to Israel and aid to Ukraine, the number they're talking about is something in the order of $100 billion. The president is trying to do one important thing, is to take this issue away from the politics, both during the election campaign, which will dominate 2024, and also now in the polarization and some would say deep dysfunction of the House of Representatives, and to start moving in that direction. And I think it was a clever move to take this issue and combine the two and try to put them into the same basket. At the same time, there is no doubt that in particular what is happening in Gaza is deeply affecting people around the world, indeed people in the United States. And I think one of the reasons the president went to Israel was not only to demonstrate that, as he said, you are not alone, but in hugging the Israeli leadership as tightly as he has, to whisper in their ears the importance of not making the mistakes others have made, including the United States, to think very carefully about how they are going about to achieve their objectives of eliminating the Hamas leadership and infrastructure, and to do so in a way that minimizes casualties, that is consistent with the rule of law, and that is proportionate. And those are the kinds of discussions that I'm sure were happening behind closed doors between President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu and his war cabinet. And my hope is that people inside that room were listening to what the president had to say.
Yeah. Well,
this
he
issue.
wasn't only
Not a lot.
meant to meet Netanyahu and President Herzog in Israel. He was also supposed to meet King Abdullah, President El Sisi, President Abbas, perhaps Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. But because of the terrible strike, and we don't know yet clearly who was responsible for the huge devastation in the Arakli hospital that killed so many people. I'm just wondering how successful you think his mission was yesterday, given that he only met Netanyahu and didn't meet some of the other regional leaders.
Well, I mean, clearly the strike against the hospital created a more difficult environment for the president. One of the reasons he hesitated perhaps on going, and then in the end decided that they had to go, even if it meant not being able to meet with King Abdullah and President Sisi and PA Authority Leader Abbas, which was would have been on the agenda for today. And clearly the president would have preferred to do that. But it was important also to go to convince the Israelis to allow the kind of humanitarian assistance that must reach the people of Gaza, to allow that in. And the Israeli government agreed to that. And that was of major significance. And as I said, to really have a conversation with the Israeli leadership about their strategy and the course they're on, to make sure that they do so in a way that minimizes civilian casualties to the maximum extent possible, and is consistent with the kinds of rules of war that I know our adversaries don't adhere to, but we do. It's what distinguishes countries and democracies like Israel and Ukraine from those who attack them.
Although, of course, we have to remember that there have been some terrible mistakes when the rules-based order has been torn up. We think particularly of Iraq, but you might also use Libya. And some people are not happy with the NATO bombardment of Kosovo back in 1999. So it's one thing to say, yes, we believe in civilized values and the rules-based order, etc. But others would say, critics would say, but until we decide they're no longer applicable in these circumstances and those circumstances. Let me run one more thing by you, Ivo. There have been incidents at the Ain and al-Assad air base in western Iraq, and also reports that a U.S. Navy warship intercepted 3 missiles and drones that were heading, it would appear, from Yemen to Israel. How worried are you that the escalation that we're seeing now is only going to get worse when the ground war starts? When Israeli troops invade Gaza?
Yeah, no, and we all are worried that this conflict will escalate, and once if it does escalate, that it escalates in a way that not only drags in other regional powers, but indeed the United States. And I think the message that the president is trying to send to everyone, and the reason why it acted against the Yemeni missiles in the way it did, was to say, we will be there on the side of Israel. And so don't even think about it. Don't even take that measure. Don't even take that step, because you won't like the way this ends. Whether that means the United States would be involved in a large way or not is something that it is for Israel and America's adversaries to figure out.
Can it really afford to get involved in a large way, Ivo, given that Russia and China must be watching this closely?
Well, yes, they must be watching it closely, but they're only watching. I mean, I think one of the, of course, notable events is that when something like that happened, people aren't calling phone numbers in Beijing or in Moscow, or indeed in Brussels, but the phone is ringing off the hook in Washington.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we are there in the manner that we are.
All right. Ivo, pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on Times Radio. That's Ivo Daalder, President of the Chicago Council on Global Affairs.